Bezzecchi and Vinales' tension escalates after MotoGP Australia middle finger incident. Bagnaia seeks payback in Thailand and Malaysia. Stay tuned until the end. Factory Ducati rider Francesco Bagnaia is determined to make up for the points he lost to Jorge Martin in the Australian MotoGP as the championship heads to circuits where he historically performs well, Thailand and Malaysia. The reigning champion's points deficit to the Pramac racing rider grew from 10 to 20 points after last weekend at Phillip Island. While Martin dominated by winning the sprint race and finishing second in the main race, Bagnaia managed a fourth-place finish in the sprint and improved to third in the Grand Prix. Despite the setback, Bagnaia remains optimistic with 3 rounds still to go. Reflecting on the situation, he pointed out that the points gap is almost the same as it was just 2 races ago, after the Indonesian MotoGP, where he had a 21-point deficit to overcome. It's similar to what happened after Indonesia, Bagnaia said. We close the gap, then we lose some and then close it again. We have to stay focused and take it race by race. Heading to Thailand, we're feeling confident because we know it's a track where I can be really fast. Buriram, the host of the Thailand GP, along with Malaysia's Sepang International Circuit, are 2 tracks where Bagnaia feels his riding style excels. He is confident that the upcoming races will allow him to close the points gap. These are circuits where I've always been quicker compared to others. I knew Phillip Island could be challenging for us, and we tried everything we could, but it just wasn't enough, he explained. While acknowledging that he has had some good results in Australia, Bagnaia admitted that the track has never suited him, as well as places like Motegi or Buriram. We knew before coming here that there was a chance we could lose points to Jorge. Now it's about bouncing back at tracks where we know we can be competitive. Buriram is a good place for us to fight back, and while Jorge won there last year, I believe we have a good shot this time. Last year, Bagnaia finished second to Martin in Thailand, but managed to edge him out in Malaysia, finishing 4th with a victory at Sepang in 2022. With fewer races left on the calendar, the 20-point gap becomes more significant, and a single mistake could cost Bagnaia his chance to retain the championship. The Italian rider is well aware of this and reflects on a critical moment from earlier in the season, the collision with Alex Marquez at Aragon, which he admits still weighs heavily on him. That incident carries more weight now because every point matters and any mistake from here on out could be crucial, Bagnaia added. Bagnaia's road to defending his title won't be easy, but his determination is clear as the MotoGP circus heads to familiar, favourable territory. Now it's all about staying focused, maximizing performance and seizing the opportunities that lie ahead in Thailand and Malaysia. During this weekend's Australian Grand Prix, the most intense crash occurred during Saturday's sprint race, involving Maverick Vinales and Marco Bezzecchi. The incident not only shook up the race, but also set off a heated exchange between the 2 riders. Marco Bezzecchi, who will be taking over the spot in the Noel garage from Vinales next season, spent several laps fiercely defending his position against the Spaniard. After a few attempts, Maverick managed to edge past him in a tight maneuver, taking the lead. However, things took a dramatic turn when Bezzecchi's aggressive braking approach backfired. He collided into the back of the Aprilia at high speed, sending both riders sliding off the track and tumbling down the runoff area, looking like rag dolls thrown into a chaotic heap. Bezzecchi remained on the ground, clearly shaken up, while Maverick, visibly frustrated, got to his feet and from a distance made an obscene gesture at Valentino Rossi's protégé, adding fuel to the tension. Vinales, who was later reprimanded for his post-crash conduct, did not hold back his frustration. "He crashed into me at over 300 kilometers per hour, and you expect me to be calm?" he retorted. "What was I supposed to do, give him a hug?" After a meeting on Sunday morning, the stewards decided to issue Bezzecchi a long lap penalty for his part in the incident. The decision was a significant blow to the VR46 racing team rider, who had managed to secure second place during the opening lap of the main race. However, the penalty disrupted his pace, and his desperate attempts to make up lost ground eventually led to another crash, forcing him out of contention. Reflecting on the Saturday crash, Bezzecchi described it as an unusual situation. "Maverick overtook me while in the slipstream and my bike veered slightly to the left. I had to adjust, so I leaned a bit to straighten up, but by that time Maverick was ahead of me. He braked earlier than I expected," he explained. "You can see in the video that he brakes, then releases and brakes again. Typically when you brake at the right spot, you don't let go. That's why I got caught off guard. While he acknowledged that it is usually the trailing rider's responsibility to avoid a crash, Bezzecchi was still visibly upset. It's a tricky situation to judge, but I understand why they held me responsible. However, what bothered me wasn't the penalty, it was Maverick's behavior afterward. Speaking to journalists, the VR46 racing team rider expressed his disappointment. Maverick and I talked at the medical center. He said it was important that we weren't hurt, and I appreciated that. But then, when he spoke to the media, he was really angry. I didn't like how he acted. If the roles were reversed, I would have been more concerned about his condition than making gestures and telling him off. He also detailed the aftermath of the incident, which included a helicopter trip to Melbourne for a thorough medical checkup. They did a scan of my upper body to make sure everything was okay. Safety comes first, so it was necessary to get it done, said Bezzecchi, who managed only a few laps on Sunday before another crash ended his race. Meanwhile, Maverick Vinales ended the main race in 8th place. Starting from 3rd on the grid, he struggled to maintain his position and dropped to 8th by the first lap, a spot he couldn't recover from. I had significant tyre degradation, especially toward the end, which other riders didn't seem to struggle with as much. The bike wasn't bad, but in the last 10 laps, the tyre just wore out completely, he said, reflecting on his performance. Despite the challenges, Vinales remained pragmatic. I'm satisfied with finishing 8th because that's probably where our bike belongs right now. The bike has its limitations. The Catalan rider, who sustained an arm injury during Saturday's crash, was determined not to let the incident escalate further. My arm is better than I thought it would be given the crash, he shared. Yet there was still a lingering grievance. Bezzecchi didn't even come to apologize. One of us isn't telling the truth. As Vinales prepares to move to the Tech 3 team next season, he also looked ahead to the upcoming race in Thailand, recalling Aprilia's struggles with high temperatures and humidity in Buriram last year. We'll see if we face the same issues with heat from the bike next week in Thailand, he remarked, ending a weekend of ups, downs and unresolved tensions on a cautious note. Hey MotoGP fans, don't forget to like and subscribe to stay updated with all the latest action.